Ever wondered who would win in a medieval fight between a knight and a samurai? Well, that's a topic for another day. But today, let's dive into the fascinating world of the Crusades. Picture it, the late 11th century, a time of chivalry, religion, and let's not forget some good old-fashioned warfare. The main players? The Christian West and the Muslim East, a classic two-hander in a battle for the Holy Land. The motivations? Well, they were as complex as a king's court drama. Religious devotion, political power, and a dash of economic gain. Some were looking for a fast track to heaven, others for a bit of earthly glory, and a few just wanted to make a quick buck. It was a time when faith moved mountains, or at least armies. So buckle up, history buffs and comedy lovers, as we embark on a journey back to the Middle Ages. Now, who were these Crusaders? Were they some sort of medieval superheroes or just regular Joes with a penchant for holy wars? Well, imagine this. You are living in the Middle Ages, the era of knights and nobles, peasants and plagues. And then, one day you decide, hey, let's go on an epic road trip. But instead of hitting the beach, you're off to reclaim the Holy Land. That's your typical Crusader for you. These chaps weren't your run-of-the-mill knights. No, they were something else. You see, their outfits weren't just for show. They were like the medieval version of a superhero costume. They had chainmail for protection, a white tunic with a red cross as their logo, and a sword that could give Excalibur a run for its money. And their training? Oh, it was no walk in the park. It was more like a run through a thicket of thorny bushes uphill in the snow with a dragon chasing you. They trained in the art of warfare, survival skills, and let's not forget the Holy Scriptures. After all, they were holy warriors. Their ideologies were as solid as their armors. They believed they were chosen by the divine to reclaim the Holy Land from those they deemed infidels. And boy, did they take this seriously. One could say their devotion was unyielding, like a stubborn mule refusing to move. Now for some fun facts. Did you know that Crusaders had to take a vow of chastity, obedience, and poverty? Quite a lifestyle change, right? Imagine going from a lavish life to a vow of poverty overnight. You'd miss your feather bed and roast duck, wouldn't you? And here's another one. Crusaders loved their horses so much that they even had laws to protect them. Yes, you heard that right, horse laws. If you thought your pet was pampered, think again. So, in essence, they were not your average medieval men. They were men on a mission, a holy mission. Now imagine this, a bunch of knights packed like sardines in their armor, marching thousands of miles just to secure a piece of land. Sounds like a medieval reality show, doesn't it? So these holy warriors, the Crusaders, embarked on a journey that makes Frodo's trek to Mount Doom look like a stroll in the park. They trekked across Europe, braving the elements, hostile locals, and even the occasional unhappy camel. It was like a medieval episode of Survivor, only with more chainmail and less Jeff Probst. They faced challenges that'd make any modern-day backpacker weep into their organic, free-trade artisanal trail mix. No GPS, no TripAdvisor reviews to tell them which inn has the best mead, and certainly no Uber to hitch a ride when their feet got sore. But hey, at least they didn't have to deal with flight delays or lost luggage, right? And when they finally arrived at the Holy Land, well, it wasn't exactly the all-inclusive resort they might have hoped for. There were no welcoming committees, no poolside cocktails. Instead, they were greeted with the kind of battles that make your average game of paintball look like a teddy bear's picnic. These battles were brutal, bloody, and decidedly lacking in health and safety measures. Imagine going head-to-head with an opponent, where the only rule is winner takes all. And the all is a piece of land you've been dreaming about since you were a wee squire. Talk about high stakes. And let's not forget the Siege of Jerusalem, the Crusaders' version of the season finale. This was the big one, folks, the one where all the blood, sweat, and tears finally paid off. Or not, depending on which side you were on. Think of it as the Game of Thrones of its day, but with less dragons and more holy relics. And that, folks, was the world's first reality show, filled with drama, action, and a whole lot of holy war. Now, once these guys got to the Holy Land, they didn't just pack up and leave. Nope, they decided to set up shop and stick around for a while. They established what we now know as Crusader States. Fancy, right? These states were like the medieval version of a startup. with the Crusaders as the founders. Now let's talk structure and governance. The Crusader states were not some random territories. They were well-organized states with their own rulers, laws, and systems. The Crusaders appointed kings and queens. Yes, they were all about that royal life. These states were a mix of the cultures of the East and West, a kind of medieval fusion cuisine, if you will. But wait, there's more. The Crusaders didn't just stop at ruling, they also built castles, forts, and cities. They were like those overachieving classmates who'd not only ace the exam, but also build a working model of a rocket. And just like those classmates, they were not always popular. Their building spree often led to conflicts with the locals. But hey, no pain, no gain, right? Now let's talk about the Knights Templar, the rock stars of the Crusades. These guys were not your average knights. They were a military order with a dash of mystique. They were like the medieval equivalent of a special ops team with a side gig as bankers. The Templars played a crucial role in defending the Crusader States and were known for their distinctive white mantles adorned with a red cross. A bit of a fashion statement, don't you think? These Knights Templar were not just about swords and shields, though. They developed a financial network throughout Christendom and grew so powerful that, well, let's just say not everyone was a fan. But that's a story for another time. So they were not just warriors, but also rulers and builders. Talk about being multi-talented, huh? All right, so we've had our laughs and learnt a lot, but what did all this crusading business leave behind? As it turns out, quite a bit. The Crusades left an indelible mark on the world, shaping the course of history in ways that still reverberate today. First off, the Crusades played a pivotal role in the development of Europe. They helped to consolidate papal power and fostered a sense of European identity. But, like that one guest who overstays their welcome at a party, the Crusades also left some less than desirable impacts. They reintroduced Europe to long-lost classical knowledge, sparking the Renaissance. However, they also triggered a wave of persecution against Jews and other non-Christians in Europe. It's like they were saying, hey, we're off to fight some religious wars, might as well start at home. Meanwhile, in the Middle East, the Crusades had their fair share of impact too. They left behind architectural and cultural influences, and let's not forget the Crusader States. These were like the medieval version of pop-up shops, except they lasted a bit longer and sold governance and religion instead of vegan cupcakes. The Crusades also left a long-lasting legacy of animosity between Christianity and Islam that still influences global politics today. It's as if they dropped a pebble into the pond of history, and the ripples are still spreading outwards, causing splashes in the most unexpected places. But let's not forget the Crusades' influence on literature and pop culture. From Dante's Inferno to Indiana Jones, the Crusades have provided a rich backdrop for tales of adventure, romance, and treachery. They've become a metaphor for righteous struggle, a symbol of religious fervor, and a cautionary tale about the dangers of fanaticism. So, while the Crusaders might have hung up their swords in chainmail centuries ago, their influence is still very much alive and kicking. The Crusades were not just a chapter in history. They were a whole book that we're still reading, interpreting, and learning from today. And that, my friends, is the story of the Crusades, a tale of faith, power, and a whole lot of medieval drama. Until next time, keep laughing and keep learning.